Here we are today back at the Orland, the old Village Hall in Orland Park, rehearsing deep in the rehearsal for Annie. We've been here for about 2 months. Seems almost like 2 years, but we're wrapping up here within the next day and moving on to Sandburg. Will be the show will go on within the next starting on Thursday night. But in the meantime, we wanted to showcase the cast, those supporting the cast, to show everyone in Orland Park what goes into a musical and a play such as Annie. So we've got, and we have a real family affair with Annie, where we've got so many father-daughter teams. Here we have father, mother, daughter, and dog. So we are spanning as far as supporting it. We're spanning the globe here for what we're doing with the Dixon family out of Lockport.
Correct.
Out of Lockport. So they love Orland Park, but they are out of Lockport, and we love Lockport. Even except when we're playing them in football, then of course we want Sandburg to beat them. But I don't want to get into that. So we want to get into that. To my left, we have Mike Dixon. Mike has done the even though it should be ladies first, I'm going left to right to the way you would read. Mike has done a brilliant job of designing and building the sets for Annie, and we've seen pictures. We haven't seen them. When we get over to Sandburg, we're going to be wowed. But Mike, what goes in, or what other than Fran telling you what you have to do, what goes into building the sets?
What it is Fran gives us the concept of her show, and knowing the show, I immediately, once she said we were doing Annie, first thing I said to her, grand staircase.
Yeah.
And I mean, the orphanage and the beds and stuff were secondary, but first thing that hit my head was the grand staircase.
The grand staircase, and I've heard it's phenomenal. We've seen pictures of it. I really am looking forward to it, and I think the folks of Orland Park are going to be wowed by it.
Yes.
Going to be wowed by it. What other? What are some of the other shows you've done the sets for?
I did King and I last year, and prior to that was Wizard of Oz. Those were with the Orland troupe, and I've also built for ONAG also, which is another theater group we've done stuff for.
Oh, so you got some extensive experience in theater sets. Someday you'll be doing them out for Martin Scorsese and a few of the others. But yeah, for right now it's for Fran. Next, Martin. Now we've got. I want to talk to Carol Dixon next, because it's something that she does something that just doesn't get recognized. It doesn't get enough thank yous. I try to say thank you when I can, but I know nobody says it enough. And what she does is, I call her the wardrobe specialist that we have here for the show. She's done a number of shows. We'll talk about that, but she is her and Mrs. Ford are really responsible for all the great costumes that everybody has, and how great the cast looks, and how great they're going to look up on stage. So, Miss Dixon, what goes into a show like Annie? What's some of the thoughts that you have to put together as you get the wardrobe ready?
Well, the first thing we do is a ton of research. So if you are not within the time period of the show, then things don't look as they should. So we do a lot of research about what clothes looked like for Annie in particular during the 1930s. What did the gentlemen look like? What did the women look like? The different classes, because in Annie you'll see a whole bunch of different classes of people. From the Hooverville slums all the way up to the richest of the rich with the Warbucks and his entourage, so to speak. And of course the cabinet where you are.
Yes.
So taking a look at, you're the president, Mr. President.
Yes, I am the president, but we'll go into that later.
So that's the first step, is doing the research. And then once that's finished, then it's making the decision what costumes need to be made, which can be found, which need to be rented. And in this case, the bulk of the costumes are the orphans.
Yes.
And those all had to be made,
Yeah.
because those aren't things that you can just find anywhere.
So you and Mrs. Ford sewed and put together costumes for approximately 50 orphans.
Yeah, actually, there was quite a bit of a crew that helped. The orphan costumes were mostly myself and and Terry did a lot of the helping with the cutting for the bloomers.
Yeah.
And then with the bloomers, we had a couple people sewing and a couple people putting the elastic through, which is the real thankless job.
Yes. You want to make sure you got plenty of elastic for the bloomers so that the bloomers stay on.
Bloomers stay on,
That's always the danger. So you've done a number of shows. What's if you had to boil it down? What's the favorite show what's your favorite in terms of putting together a wardrobe?
Oh, wow. Well, I would say Beauty and the Beast has definitely been my most challenging with all of the interesting characters. But Annie's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So I really kind of enjoy costuming this show, especially.
It's such an uplifting story, isn't it? It's just the overall the theme of the show is just great, and it spans from the kids to the adults and the president and the cabinet. It just seems to have a little bit for everything, and of course it brings into the animals. We have 2 dogs in this show. So one of the dogs that we have in Annie is we have to have a little dog and a little bigger dog. We have Sandy, who's not here. We'll meet Sandy later on. But we have Asics, who is part of and I think Asics is named after a soccer ball or something to that. Volleyball, not soccer ball. I don't know where I was thinking. I think Sarah was just here and we're talking about soccer. But so Asics named after a volleyball. Beautiful, beautiful young man here. And just young man. Okay.
And it's his debut.
And it's his debut show. He's gonna take the show. You know how it is working with kids and animals. It makes it they steal the show. But speaking of kids, the youngest of the Dixons we have here in the middle, she is holding Asics now. Mariah is. I don't think she's making her theater debut. But how many shows have you been in, Mariah?
Oh gosh, I started about 4 years ago. Would you say? I started with Joseph, but my first actual solo debut was when I was Tessie in a junior production of Annie.
Oh, and Annie. So you started in Annie, and here we are. It comes full circle.
Yep.
Comes full circle. When did you, or who discovered that you had the voice?
Well, I've always been singing for church, and I've always been in choir, but I'd have to say I wouldn't be where I am without my mom, because she really pushed me when I didn't want to go to all those vocal rehearsals. She was like, "No, you gotta go, you gotta go." Yeah,
mothers are like that. They have to be the bad guys sometimes. Dads are nice. Mothers have to sometimes clean it up and do it. But then you thank them later. So, do you want to thank your mother here right now on camera?
Yes, thank you, Mom. I love you.
Love you too.
Isn't that beautiful? You know what? I'm gonna have to go off camera now because I'm gonna start crying. But this is I know I'm making light of it, but it's the whole show is a real family experience. We have a number of sisters, brothers, fathers, mothers in the show, dogs. It's a really great experience. So we've got the Dixon family here, who everything from building the sets to building the costumes to singing and coming in on cue, hopefully, is the dog. We got the star to be and the dog to be. Yeah. So. Yes, sir.
Our son is also the stage manager.
Oh, so we have. Oh, this is a real. What's
Kyle is the stage.
Kyle Dixon is the stage manager. So we span the globe here for Annie. But we want to thank the Dixon family for being here today. Thank you very much, and we will look forward to a successful showing of Annie. And we also want to thank Margie Owen Klotz for pulling this all together. Thank you, Margie.